Good afternoon. Fade to black breaking news for this Wednesday, April 5th, 2023. This is all of the news that you need. I'm Jimmy Church. On this day in history, 1994, Kurt Cobain dies by suicide. His body was discovered inside his home in Seattle, Washington, 3 days later by Gary Smith, an electrician who was installing a security system in the house. On this day in 1994. Fader fact, the first transaction on the internet, check this out, Genocide. The first transaction on the internet was of weed. That's right, the Mary Jane, pot, marijuana. It was recorded in the 1970s, and the sale of the bag of stash was negotiated between Stanford and MIT students. There you go. There's your Fader fact. Vetted, by the way. It's real. Let's get to the breaking news. Ingredients for life discovered in the Perseus molecular cloud in space 1,000 light years from Earth. A soup of molecules in a distant star-forming cloud contains compounds that are considered the essential building blocks for life. All of this was announced earlier today. These molecules can contribute to the construction of amino acids, which themselves form the basis of genetic material and are believed to have been essential in the development of the first microorganisms right here on planet Earth. The team discovered the presence of molecular hydrogen, hydroxyl, water, carbon dioxide, and ammonia, as well as several carbon-based molecules. The prebiotic molecules were found in a star cluster within the Perseus molecular cloud called IC348. The stars in the cluster are estimated to be very young, between 2 and 3 million years old. For comparison, our middle-aged sun is around 4.6 billion years old. This is big, big breaking news. I've been following this story now for a couple of weeks. Here's the latest update. British billionaire Sir Richard Branson's rocket company, Virgin Orbit, has now filed for bankruptcy in the United States after failing to secure new investment. The satellite launch company halted operations weeks ago, but it hoped to find a buyer for the business. The company, based down the street from my studio, announced last week that it would cut 85% of its 750-strong workforce. Earlier this year, Virgin Orbit and its rocket failed to launch and complete its first ever satellite launch from the United Kingdom soil. Yeah, well, the plane got off the ground. The rocket didn't make orbit. NASA's Ingenuity helicopter has been flying on Mars for nearly 2 years now. I can't believe it has been 2 years, and it's still breaking records. It was only supposed to fly for like a week. It's 2 years later, and this latest record run was on its 49th flight. Ingenuity flew faster and higher than it had ever had before on its most recent Red Planet sortie, which occurred 3 days ago on Sunday, April 2nd. The 4-pound chopper reached a top speed of 14.5 miles per hour and an altitude of 52.5 feet. The previous records were 13.4 miles per hour and 46 feet. And it just keeps on going. The world's first fleet of autonomous commuter buses. Okay, this is where I repeat the headline. Are you ready? The world's first fleet of autonomous commuter buses, what could go wrong, is slated to go into service next month in Scotland. This follows at least one successful trial run in January, alongside financial backing boost from the UK government. On May 15th, Stagecoach's self-driving vehicles will begin operations along a 14-mile route that includes Edinburgh's historic Fourth Road Suspension Bridge. According to the BBC, a total of 5 single-decker vehicles will be in service, carrying roughly 10,000 passengers per week. I can guarantee there's going to be a follow-up news story in May. Chia pets, right? Chia pets. Remember chia pets? Did you have a chia pet? I never did. I wanted to get one. I never got a chia pet, but chia seeds are in the news. And it's not what you think. It involves Alan Turing. Chia seeds sprouted in trays and have experimentally confirmed a mathematical model proposed by computer scientist and polymath Alan Turing, and he did all of this decades ago. The model describes how patterns might emerge in desert vegetation, leopard spots, and zebra stripes. And you remember all of that. Well, check this out. These and other blotchy and stripy features in nature are examples of what Turing called patterns, because they're called Turing patterns because he named all of this back in 1952. Turing presented equations for how simple interactions between competing factors can lead to surprisingly complex surface patterns. In the case of arid regions, the competition for moisture among plants would drive the intricate distribution of vegetation. Right? Makes sense, actually. In research presented at the American Physical Society meeting, Brendan Diacchino, who studied Fenton's lab during the summer of 2022, described an experiment that seems to confirm that Turing's model truly underlies patterns in vegetation. The team grew chia seeds in even layers in trays and then adjusted the available moisture. In essence, the researchers were experimentally tweaking the factors that appear in the Turing's equations. Sure enough, patterns resembling those seen in natural environments emerged. The patterns also strongly resembled computer simulations of the Turing model. That is nuts. All right, I'm going to leave you with this. NPR today sharply criticized Twitter after the social media platform, in an apparent violation of its own policies, labeled the radio broadcaster as a, quote, state-affiliated media organization akin to foreign propaganda outlets like Russia's RT and Sputnik. In a statement, NPR CEO John Lansing called the decision to lump NPR in with other outlets that Twitter identifies as being under government control as unacceptable. Well, he went darker than that. NPR receives funding from public institutions, some of them, but the vast majority comes from sources such as corporate sponsorships and NPR membership fees that, you know what, I'm going to admit it right now. I pay those fees. I do. I do once a month. Twitter's labels for state-affiliated media first rolled out back in 2020. The company's decision on labeling an account as state-affiliated media hinged on whether, quote, the state exercises control over editorial content through financial resources, direct or indirect political pressures, and or control over production and distribution, end quote. But Twitter's policies at the time explicitly exempted NPR as an example of publicly funded broadcasting, and also said that they had their own editorial independence. Well, right now, right before Fade to Black breaking news went live a few minutes ago, Twitter has reversed its position and has removed the label they placed on NPR. Meanwhile, other outlets similar to NPR, such as the BBC, which is also exempt from state-affiliated media labeling under Twitter's policies, remain unlabeled. Wow. There you go. There's all the Fade to Black breaking news you need for this Wednesday, April 5th, 2023. Fade to Black Breaking News is produced by Renee Newman. I'm Jimmy Church. Go Backley Tappy.